Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I am doing top level analysis analysis for the Liverpool event. First want to say thank you so much for Hayden the Eggman and eggmanevents.com for providing all the lists. I do want to first apologize for my voice a little bit today. I am feeling pretty sick, but I wanted to actually break down a couple things and I wanted to do some more analysis. I mean analysis, so we have an idea of what to bring for last chance qualifier in NA next week and what you might see next week as well. Let's just jump right into everything. I'm not going to jump into deck list too much, but with this, I first want to go over the full leader breakdown. I first want to say with EU, it was open invitational. There wasn't anything you had to qualify with. You had people from all over the world going to EU just to play. And there were some surprises, but I do want to say this is not an accurate representation of what you'll see at Nationals. You may actually see this at like the last chance qualifier, but when you go to North America Nationals, everybody qualified with generally decks that were like Gecko Moria or Sakazuki, Rob Lucci, Red Purple Law, decks like this, and also, of course, Black Yellow Luffy. And I feel like you're going to see a lot less of certain cringe decks or certain decks, but you actually might see more of other decks as well. And we'll go over all those decks as I can. So, as you guys see, the leader breakdown for participation is just Rob Lucci was a clear favorite. I'm actually really surprised at how popular Juraj Bonney is. I did have a discussion with somebody that a lot of newer players, they're trying out Juraj Bonney and they're doing really well with it because it's easy to learn. And then 108 of the Monkey D Luffy. So that's a pretty bad matchup for Luffy as Bonney. So I feel like if this is somewhat of a representation going into like a last chance qualifier, that you actually might see quite a bit of problems unless you're really tagged along playing Luffy if you're playing Luffy. Kind of surprised that this much Reiju is showing up, but not too surprised because it is pretty powerful. Enel, quite a bit of representation from them. Gecko Moria, Flamingo, a lot of Nami. I did convert pretty well. Katakuri also was a surprising deck that actually is just doing really, really well. And then, of course, you have Perona and this new trial deck ST14Luffy that is kind of what's taking everyone by storm. I kind of want to do like another side video for that, but I don't really know how this deck operates. I think it just plays a lot of strong cards. But maybe we'll go over the list a little bit. Now, for the top 32 leader breakdown, this is kind of a bit of a spoiler. You're going to see, who won the tournament, which top 32, I would say, is generally a win for everybody. With this, you have a lot of Rob Lucci's, 5 ST14 Monkey D Luffys from 19 to 5. That's the best conversion rate out of any deck for sure. Then there's Juraj Bonney, the Monkey D Luffy from the starter deck, Nami, Katakuri, Reiju, Gecko Moria, Don Quixote, Doflamingo, and finally Enel. With that, as you guys may know already, the winner ended up being Fleche. I ended up working with Fleche a long time ago with Red Purple Law, and it performed really well. I guess the one pick I wanted to say is the Sabo and the Shigon Finger Gun. I'm not too surprised. I'm a little surprised he's not even trying Isho, but this is a pretty good standard build. You're probably going to see most of this. I feel like this yellow Sabo does help you awaken a lot of the time. I know he does not play any Makino, so he plays this instead. And it allows it so his 4 searchers or 8 searchers total have more of a chance of seeing something. So I can see how that's a good thing and not playing Makino. Definitely an interesting list, and it literally is the winning list. You can't really fight against it. Next is Rob Lucci, and Rob Lucci ended up getting second place, and it had his most played deck realistically. And there really isn't anything too surprising. 2 Luffy's, 3 Brooks. That's kind of the main thing. 3 Isho is very, very frustrating. This will just win you a lot of matchups, regardless, especially when you're facing things like the Bonney matchup, or it helps in any specific matchup. With that, I do want to go over Sammy Wong, or Sammy, I can't pronounce this person's last name. A lot of the people that went from North America played generally a similar build, and it seems that they are not opting into Luffy just because, well, if we see Luffy, we'll just deal with it another way. Brook's pretty good. It doesn't really require too much of that. And then, of course, a Mikolaj playing Nami. With one hanger, that seems like an exact standard list, except for maybe one Zeph for like a mirror match. One femur, nothing completely crazy out here. And then Nicky, I believe Nicky also played a similar build as their other friend. Yeah, no, they're no Luffy. They're all in the same build. And then I do want to actually say Reiju in the top 8. This is kind of one of my more favorite decks. And they are still running 2 and 2 Niji. That's not a lot, but they needed to make room for one consistency with more German 66s and more room for 4 Ginas. That's a lot more counter going around. And then on top of that, the Queen is pretty massive here. So congrats to this player going top 8 with Reiju. That's amazing, to be honest. And I'm looking forward to, kind of seeing and playing against this deck. And then finally, in the last top 8, we have Juraj Bonney. Juraj Bonney, it is running 4 of this Bonney card, and then 2 of the Rosanade, 2 of the Kids, 2 of the Doflamingo. It seems like a pretty standard list where you're running double searcher package with a lot of things. I like it. I like it, Picasso. And I want to at least go over 2 matchups here. There's Charlotte Katakuri. When I'm going top 16, they played 2 Shirahoshis, 1 Cracker, 3 Kukonojos, 1 Enel. Oh my gosh, this is kind of gross. Wait, what is this card? They're playing 2 Flame Dragon Kings? Then look at all your life cards and return them to the desired order. Wow, that's kind of crazy. An additional ace. So this might be like, I mean, people are going to be copying this build for a bit to see how that goes. I kind of like what I see here. It doesn't have big end removal, but other than Katakuri, but you're playing 10 drop mobs anyway. So that's your major plan. And then as far as this goes, I want to say Luigi, and there's a lot of other players. Luigi ended up playing this Luffy deck, and you can see it's pretty much a Navy package other than basically 3 cards, which is, the Stage, Thousand Sunny. All your black straw hat characters get +1, and then you get to just draw a card on play. I believe it does rely a bit on the Sabo and this card, Isho, but let's see here. I want to read 2 cards so you guys aren't too surprised. When you play down a Sanji, if you have a 6 cost or greater in play, KO up 20 of your opponent's 5 cost or lower characters. This card's really good. If you just have the Stage and you play this down, you're going to be able to KO anything because it is technically a 6 cost already. And Robin, if you have an 8 cost or above character, give one of your opponents -5 cost in the turn. So it's a on-demand Ice Age, which is pretty strong. Everything else seems to be pretty standard. I'm not really sure how this deck plays out in general, but I have heard it's very annoying if you are playing Rob Lucci to deal with this. And obviously the leader is basically a 6k counter if you have an 8 cost or higher on the field, which is pretty freaking juice, to be honest. Like a 6k leader is pretty good when we really look at everything. So finally, I do want to go over the last 2 builds here, which is Don Quixote Doflamingo. You might see a little bit more of this, and it seems like a pretty standard build. 1 femur, 3 puddings, 3 kaidos, 3 boas, and a slew of everything else. I'm curious on the members' matchups. They faced a lot of difficult decks. And then finally, the case Enel going on here. It seems like a very standard build. Oh, 3 yellow Sabos. Not too standard with the ace. It seems to be a little bit more aggressive, and it does not run the 7-drop Enel, which is a little confusing, but they do have a lot of great removal, and they're able to do things like remove just like 5 costs and such, and 4 costs, and work around that. So I think I like it. It obviously worked out for them getting in the top 32. And that's essentially the end of the video. I do want to say, what do you guys think you expect from Last Chance qualifiers? And what do you guys think when it comes to North American Nationals? Do you think it'll be something like this? Or do you think it'll be completely different and it'll just be a lot of Rob Lucci's, a lot of Luffy's, and I hope less Bonnies. I'm currently just on Luffy myself, so I hope there's less Bonnies, but I'm kind of teched exactly for that. But thank you all so much for watching the video. Again, go to eggmanevents.com if you want to look at all the deck lists yourself and see everything to keep up to date with all card fashion needs. And thank you to all my patrons for being a patron on the channel. I appreciate your support, and we'll see you all in the next video. Ciao.